Do it, no balls this. Do it, no balls that. Well, you know what? I did it. No balls.
What are they cooking this time? If you have a heartbeat and don't feed on corpses like a ghoul, then you probably hate the Federalist Society with a passion. In the 1980s, a ragtag group of conservative Ronald Reagan-type college students started a debate society to fight liberal interpretations of the law. Since then, they have transformed into the Make the World Bad Club and have obtained a frightening amount of power. Think of a bullshit court ruling, the type of decision that only a blood-sucking demon judge would make. There is a good chance that judge has ties to the Federalist Society. Oh, Karen, it's probably not that bad. No, it is. Every single conservative justice on the Supreme Court, the same court that has and will continue to rip away human rights, is affiliated with the Federalist Society. The goal of the Federalist Society is to build an ultra-powerful network of judges to take over an entire branch of the government, strip power away from other branches of the government, and ultimately install a fascist Christian police state. I want to eat that.
Ding dong, I know you can hear me. Open up the door. I only wanna play a little.
Have you ever tried reading a paragraph that Jordan Peterson has wrote?
Indecipherable.
It feels like someone found and replaced every word with like a word that was used 100 years ago for the same thing.
It feels like it was retranslated 5 times. And like the man is just, it was retranslated and then put into a generator that they gave benzos to.
Yeah, and it's like, and why are we talking about the butterfly?
The lobster links hands with a nightmare, and the nightmare finds its way beyond. Have you seen Frozen?
And the Twitter TOS is indecipherable. I'm like, bitch, all you write is indecipherable.
Dude, and you haven't read
the
it.
Twitter TOS is like, don't be transphobic, and then he's like, it just doesn't make any sense. I just don't understand.
Okay. Everything you don't like, you call
Instructions
transphobic.
unclear. I'm gonna dead name some people.
Cub, you're a black girl at a trail race, minding your business.
Here's the first book of 2023 that I am not going to finish. I'm very sad. I was really excited to read this, and I only got like 17 pages in, and I will read the quote specifically that turned me off of this book. I thrifted this book, Theories of International Politics and Zombies by Daniel Dresner. He said, and I quote, "To be blunt, this project is explicitly pro-human, whereas Marxists and feminists would likely sympathize more with the zombies. To Marxists, the undead symbolize the oppressed proletariat. Unless the zombies were all undead white males, feminists would likely welcome the post-human smashing of existing patriarchal structures." I don't think I've ever been turned off of a book so quickly. 'Tis a bummer, but what are you gonna do?
Is it me, or are we best friends?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely your best friend. And that's great for you.
I'm a software engineer.
Okay, how much do you make?
191K.
I think that the compensation bubble for software engineers is about to pop, or at the very least, start to deflate a bit. The main reason I say this is not the massive ongoing layoffs, nor the SVB failure. These things are definitely significant, but they're not enough on their own to flip the supply-demand dynamics for software engineers. However, I do think that these factors are going to lead to a culture shift in the way that engineers are hired. For a very long time now, a lot of tech companies, especially startups, have not been worried primarily about profitability, but instead potential growth. And I think that this has led to a bubble in compensation on top of the already favorable dynamics for software engineers. Hiring engineers is very difficult. Accurately assessing the skills and level of a candidate, if you are not yourself an engineer, is nigh impossible. And even if you yourself are an engineer, it's still very challenging because the needs of the job shift a lot from company to company. Matching that up to the needs of your company is very difficult, especially if the needs of your company are not being based in something concrete like profitability, but rather this more amorphous idea of future possible growth. At the same time, there is an almost ubiquitous culture in tech, especially in startups, of hero worship for engineers. If you have ever worked at a startup yourself, I am confident you know what I am talking about, and this is something that people at the C-level executives buy into very heavily. There is this mythos of having the best engineers who are going to innovate our way into disrupting the industry and getting us hockey stick growth that'll carry us to an IPO. And what this has led to is people at the C-level, the decision makers for companies, being willing to throw almost endless amounts of cash at compensation for engineers because they're not basing it on what is actually needed to make the company profitable in the moment. They're basing it on this mythos, which has had a very strong cultural foothold. What we are now seeing is tech companies, both large and small, being forced to, for the first time, think about profitability first rather than growth. And I think as this happens, this mythos, this idea of the rock star, superstar engineer is going to dissipate. Take this prediction with a grain of salt. I think whatever happens, software engineering is going to be a lucrative career for the foreseeable future. However, on a long enough timeline, capitalism will make commodities of us all, and it might be a good time for people in tech to remember that.
Ooh, delicious wicker. New research out of China is trying to claim that COVID came from the seafood market in Wuhan from an animal called a raccoon dog. And you know what I have to say to that? They're actually called tanuki and they're very cute. Oh, did you think I was going to say it was a lab leak? It was not. Recently, the Department of Energy came out and said that it might have been a lab leak, but this raccoon dog data disproves that. And even then, the lab it would have leaked from would have been a research lab, you know, one where they were studying COVID and trying to cure it. But that's not what the right is saying. The conservatives are trying to tell you that it was a bioweapons lab. Ah yes, COVID, the horrible bioweapon that causes, what did conservatives call it? A cold? A bioweapon that conservatives refuse to protect themselves from even a little bit? Well, sorry losers, it was a cute tanuki. Hey conservatives, maybe the next time you want me to take a virus seriously, you should take the virus seriously. Yummy wicker!
Century, and I will not stand for it. We will not stand for it. We may not win today, and we may not win tomorrow, but we will persist as we always have in the fight of your oppression. If you wish to eradicate transgenderism from the public life, as members of your party have said, to quote a hero of yours, you can pry that from my cold, dead hands.
American citizen, stood up for the flag and salute cause I'm diligent. Such bullshit, brainwash for American field trips on two.
Feminism creates incels, therefore it is the responsibility of feminists themselves.
You know guys, maybe he's onto something. Hold on, let me talk in a language I'll understand.
If feminism creates incels, then it is the feminist's responsibility to get rid of them. And as a feminist, I propose you a foolproof solution. We kill all the incels.
Alright kids, how does this make you feel? Happy? Well, you know another word for happy, right? Gay. Let's say it together, kids. I feel gay. What's that, DeAndre? You forgot your lunch? Well, just take it from Timmy. No, it's fine. He's white. It's reparations. So, Timmy, I see on your homework you didn't list yourself as one of the causes of the transatlantic slave trade. Did you not do your CRT homework? Hi, Mrs. Richards? Yeah, so it looks like you sent Bradwick to school with a ham and cheese sandwich. Yes, I'm so sorry. We had to confiscate that as it is not vegan or gluten-free. All right, kids, your homework tonight is to read 10 pages of Queer Eye fan fiction and come back tomorrow with a summary of what a bottom is.
Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall. Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall. Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall. Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall. Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall.
Ooh, bread talk. There was an attempted fascist coup to overthrow the United States government and nobody cares anymore. If you talk about January 6, 2021, the right will say that was actually good. The left will say, oh my God, you're still talking about that? You sound like Rachel Maddow. And the liberals will say, well, yeah, that's a very serious issue, but we should work across the aisle with the people who did it. I feel like I'm going fucking nuts. They brought guns to the Capitol. They set up a gallows and chanted, hang Mike Pence. And Donald Trump was the one who told them to go there and knew that they had guns. What do you think they were gonna do if they found Nancy Pelosi? Debate her? When they tried this shit in Brazil, the ex-president had to flee the country. Donald Trump's still fucking here. If Hillary had tried to do this to Donald Trump, do you think she'd be alive right now? We're just working with these people. We're just arguing with them. And recently, the Republicans, Fox News, and Elon Musk have been working together to whitewash it. They're strategically sharing the few minutes of footage from that day when no one was violent. They tried to install Donald Trump as a fascist dictator. Meanwhile, we have done absolutely jack shit to ensure that another January 6th doesn't happen again, so it probably will. Yummy.
You have mother issues!
Yay! I have mother issues!
No, that's bad.
Aw, I have mother issues.
I had never, ever once wanted a mom, sought a mom, thought I was missing something because I didn't have a mom, and I'm sick and tired of people telling me that I am missing something, because I'm just not.
It's because you didn't have it.
Yeah, but do you feel like you're missing something, or you're not missing having two dads because you didn't have it?
Well, no, that's not what we're talking about. Because what would happen? No, because what happens is
you're missing out then.
Well, because I don't have two dads.
DopeBoysMusic.com. I'll be damned.
I'm still asking the 4 questions, even though I'm 37. Hi, I'm Kevin, have no children, dying new.
My brother can't meet a woman, Manishtana, but he's looking. We won't beg, but pass the eggs and dying new.
I flew up here straight from Boca with my dog, his name is Mocha. Love my grandkids like my children, dying new.
Not sure what my wife was saying. 40 hours of this praying, not complaining, but I'm fading, dying new.
I just hit the afikoman, where I placed it I don't know, and I just drank my 15th glass of dying new.
Hope my family likes Haros. It took me 40 years like Moses, filter fish on every dish and dying new.
I'm more bitter than the herbs, these empty-handed, guess what nerve? Let's skip the matzah, where's the vodka, dying new.
My wife made a gorgeous Seder, even though she's quite the hater. Carpet shank bone, see ya later, dying new.
Die, dying new, die, dying new, die, dying new, dying new, dying new, die, dying new, die, dying new, die, dying new, dying new, dying new.
You can't handle the uber instincts of my uber autism. Observe.
Tonight on incredibly satisfying trans news, a trans woman in Georgia sued the county she worked for when they refused to change the health care plan to cover her gender-affirming surgeries. It would have only cost the county $10,000 a year to cover transgender-related surgeries for their employees, but they spent $1.2 million fighting the case, only to lose it and still have to cover those surgeries. I guess you could say she fought the law, and the law lost.
I didn't do fucking shit. I didn't fucking do this. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about any of this. I'm done. Do what you want.
You're gonna let her sleep around all throughout college in her 20s while you're sacrificing your 20s, stacking your bread.
Hey bestie, hate your content, think it's terrible, you're a misogynist, certified, boom, stamp, got it, official seal. I just wanted to say that it's really curious, as an evolutionary psychology background person, you can't distinguish between your and you are in your comment sections, because I'd expect more from an intellectually brilliant alpha masculine red pill man such as yourself. Jordan Peterson called and he wanted to let you know that he doesn't care about you or men's mental health, but he does want you to buy more of his courses and his book. And this entire premise is really sad, because if a woman is going to divorce you and take half of your wealth only a few years in, what did you do to get her to divorce you? Why is she unhappy with your alpha self that grinded and hustled so hard and self-developed? Guess what, dude? Misogynistic take if you just think that all women cheat, blah, 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 blah. So you're sad. Sorry. Bye.
Alrighty, your haircut's all done. What do you think? Do you like it? Oh, yeah, it looks good. Do you want something changed? Because I can totally, change it. No, it's fine. I like it. Okay, well, I'll give you your total and we can do cash or card today. Oh, okay, I have your tip in cash. Here you go. I literally thought you hated your hair. Oh no, I'm actually the happiest and most excited I've been in ages. Can't you tell? Actually, no, because I'm deeply lacking in neurotypical perception skills. Anyway, let's book your next appointment here.
How many trans women does it take to change a light bulb? 1. Call her beautiful and she lights up the whole room.
My 9-year-old had a reading about laws and government, and the question was, do you agree with the author that laws and government are important? He said, no. The government makes some really bad decisions. The only thing that I like is some laws, like speeding and bad people go in jail. But the police are on thin ice. This is going on the fridge.
Okay, friends, so black women never cease to amaze me. Did you know that this woman spent the first 37 years of her life as a slave, but died one of the richest women in Los Angeles? I didn't either. So if you're wondering who she is and what I'm talking about, then as always, please keep watching. But first, happy Women's History Month and happy Black History Year, friends. We made it to the side of TikTok where we celebrate and share black women's stories all year round, and welcome, because I am so happy you're here. Because I own a clothing brand that tells the untold stories of the African American women that you and I should have learned about in our history classes. As I hope you can tell, in Black History Month and in Women's History Month, in every month of the year, I truly think that it is important to share and celebrate black women's stories because their resilience was simply phenomenal. So I create t-shirts, sweatshirts, and all things cute doing just that to remind you and the women in your life to never give up. Today, I am wearing our Women's History Month tee, and it's very important that I do because we're talking about a phenomenal woman who went by the name of Bridget Biddy Mason. Mostly known as Biddy, this woman was a nurse, a midwife, and a real estate magnate. Basically, a true Renaissance woman. But here's the thing. Biddy became all of these things after spending most of her life as a slave, which means she was more than a Renaissance woman. She was more like a superhero. So let's get into her story. Biddy was born in 1818 in the South, 45 years before the Emancipation Proclamation was even signed. So I'm sure for her, freedom probably felt impossible, especially since she was sold away from her family to another plantation very young. And then at the age of 18, she and other slaves were given as a gift to her slave owner's cousin and his wife for their wedding. This is one of the most disgusting parts about slavery, and can you believe that people used to actually put slaves on their wedding registry? But slaves had no authority over their lives or their bodies, so Biddy had no choice but to go. However, on her new plantation, she did learn midwifery and herbal medicine. And both of these really become her thing. She's like the head midwife on the plantation. But also during this time, she's going to give birth to 3 daughters, and it's believed that they were fathered by her slave owner, which is another unfortunate reality for a lot of black women slaves. But on top of all of this, Biddy's slave owner eventually decides that he's going to convert to Mormonism and that they're going to move to Utah. So he packs up his slaves and his family, a group of 90, Biddy included, of course, and they make the trip to Utah, Biddy walking by foot 2,000 miles for 7 months, with all 3 of her children along with her, one being strapped to her back. And Biddy's slave duties on this trip are to help with delivering babies for whites and blacks, as well as herding cattle and helping livestock. It just felt like our girl couldn't catch a break. And then they moved to Utah, and of course, she's known as the head midwife again. But then her slave owner decides, you know what, they're going to move into this new Mormon community in California. So once again, she makes the journey by foot behind her slave owner's wagon. However, California has a rule that they don't allow slavery. So Biddy makes friends with a lot of free blacks in the area, and they convince her that she's being held in slavery illegally. When her slave owner realizes that he might have to let go of his slaves if he stays in California, he decides that he's going to move to Texas. Because we all know that we have Juneteenth because Texas was not willing to get rid of their slave. So he was like, perfect place. Well, as he's trying to leave, one of Biddy's friends tells the authorities. And they show up and take Biddy and the other people enslaved with her to jail. They sit there for a while they're kind of investigating to see if he's holding these slaves illegally. Because her slave owner tells them that these people want to come with him to Texas. To slavery, y'all. It ends up having to go to court. But in court in California, even though there's no slavery, black people are not allowed to share their testimony or stand up for themselves. And Biddy had a lawyer, but the lawyer didn't show up. But in a strange turn of events, the judge asks Biddy to come back into his back room so that he can talk to her, and he actually lets her share her story. And after he hears from her, Biddy is set free with 13 members of her extended family. Once Biddy is set free, she actually becomes an assistant to a doctor. And for 10 years, she saves her money really well. And then she takes the money that she's made and she invested in real estate, buying property that will one day be a part of downtown LA. And she doesn't stop. She just keeps on buying property and renting it out and making more and more money. And she takes the money and she gives it to the poor in her community. And she even helps to buy and found the first African-American Methodist Episcopal Church in Los Angeles that still stands today. From real estate, Biddy actually makes hundreds of thousands of dollars that today would have equaled about $6 million. This made her one of the richest women in Los Angeles, a woman who spent the first 37 years of her life as a slave. I share Biddy's story and women like Biddy's story because black women have done extraordinary things. But it seems like the history books are committed to not sharing them. So I started this brand because I believe that her story matters. And as an entrepreneur myself, I need to know about women like Biddy who, against all odds, became extremely successful. So for more stories like this, follow along and shop the site for her story with style and grace.
So it's coming to my attention that some of our trans brothers and others need help learning the various handshakes, slaps, and dabs that cis men just seems to know by instinct. I have enlisted the help of my genderless fiance to help demonstrate these 3 simple handshake, slaps, and dabs that you will use in your everyday life. The first one we're going to start with is the generic handshake. The arm is going to be at a right angle. They're going to be reaching forward, coming from the front, for your hand for this handshake. The second one that you're going to be using is the simple dap, all right? Their arm is going to be at the right angle still, but they are going to be coming from the side. They're going to get a slap, slide, and tuck, all right? All 3 of those happen in a fluid motion right there. That's your simple dap. And then lastly, you're going to have your advanced dap, all right? That is going to be at an acute angle, also coming from the side. You're going to grasp at the thumb right here, all right? And then you're going to bring it in, give 1 tap on the back, come back out for the slide and tuck. Now, it's going to be common for you to use at least 2 daps in any given conversation that you have. You might start out with the advanced dap, you know, say something in the ear like, hey man, I haven't seen you in a while.
So much.
And then you slide back out for the tuck. You have your conversation, and then you end it with the simple dap, like, hey man, take care, be safe, I'll see you later. Now, the snap at the end of your dap, let's go on. Now, you never know if anybody's going to snap. It's very hit or miss. I like to snap every time. I like to snap every time because then you're never wrong, but use your best judgment on that. But then you've got the handshake, you've got the simple dap, and the advanced dap. There are other advanced ones that you'll learn in time, but these are the 3 that you need to know in your everyday life. Safe dapping.
Last warning, do not touch Uh-oh.
Tell me stop being sexist.
I'm not.
Women must be forcefully enlisted into a sex corps.
This is the peak of my female rage. People
people don't fucking learn from history, okay? Nobody fucking learns shit, and history is destined to repeat itself. Essentially, this guy is saying that we should have comfort women. And for a Chinese person, that's history that really was not that long ago. And he claimed that a certain segment of society was not upholding their half of the social contract. What contract? What fucking contract? Because what are men going to war to protect us from? What are they protecting us from? Let me guess, other fucking men who started the fucking wars to begin with. And I'm so sick and tired of making content about Imperial Japan, talking about misogyny. I don't care if it's serious, if it's a troll, or if it's a joke. There's absolutely no fucking context for saying W Imperial Japan is appropriate. Or when they randomly bring up males' issues to do nothing more than silence the women that are talking about feminism. I'm so sick and tired. This is a real reality that we live in. Let's have freedom of speech, they said. It'll be great, they said.
Shit like this brings the movement down. Everyone's a feminist until there is a spider around.